Okay, now we're going to discuss blocks. Blocks are pretty common to most CMS systems. I mean, after all, pages are basically combinations of blocks of information. If you look at any, page, basically it's blocks. You have a menu block, a header block, content blocks, blocks within blocks. Chinese boxes essentially is what, and it's just the nature of the medium. It's a linear, made to be read from one section to the next sort of thing. And today with the advent of everything needing to be responsive, in other words, it needs to show up in every type of platform seamlessly, from your big 2,000 pixel wide monitor down to a cell phone. Blocks and grid systems have become even more ubiquitous and more important. Gone are the days of the really free-flowing, really neat, wowie-zowie, flash-based and organic-looking web designs. You don't see those too much anymore because they only display on a desktop. So people have abandoned them, pretty much, to get a wider audience and more ubiquitous use across a wider platform of devices. So anyway, blocks. Back to blocks. So blocks, here, they're easier. They're really easy to get to and really easy to insert in a page. You create blocks, and blocks can be of several types. You can have a menu block, which is a special type of plugin, right? Basically, it's looking at a thing called a menu, and you pick a menu, which is another type of content. Over here, if you look, you've got menus. So when you pick menu, it says, which menu do I want to pick? And it picks it, and you choose it, and it inserts that as its block content. And then you have an HTML type, which is basically just HTML that you pour into a page, or code in or copy and paste in, however you want to get there. And then we have page list, which a page list is a certain type of block widget that basically creates a search of pages based on, I can show you one of these, update, on a field that's in the page database and a value for that field, or a value that's in that field. These are powerful because you can carve up pages and include them in all kinds of different lists by giving them different keywords and then searching for those keywords in different places to build different types of lists. You can also search by category here, and categories are a separate type of thing. Again, it's a separate type of content. You can create hierarchies of categories, and I'm sure you've seen category systems. They basically look like trees of things under things under things, or paths to things. And of course, categories comes in kind of important in page lists only if you're doing finely segregated or syndicated content where different groups of roles have different route access to certain categories and not to others. And that's a subject for a different day, and it's kind of complicated, so I won't even touch it here. It's not really germane to blocks. Okay, so each of these blocks, you have some basic information, what type it is, its name, so you can tell what it is. And this is just the keywords that are here are simply so that when you're in the blocks listing, you can search for things by keyword. If you have lots and lots and lots of blocks, you can keyword the blocks themselves so that you can find them in the back end easier. Of course, you can also filter for blocks by name, pending status, all the other things that the grid class allows you to filter for on the back end. So you'll have your block code, and that'll be different based on what type it is. And you can also inject, just as with the layout, at the block level, you can add custom CSS, custom JavaScript, and we've discussed before in another video about permissions. You can actually use the same asset level permissions on a block as you do for any other asset in the system, whether it's a page, an image, or anything else that's controlled by the database. And of course, you can role protect. these are exclusive, not inclusive, not exclusive, rather. In other words, if you say admin, it's just admin. You can add multiple roles. You can say admin, editor, and then it excludes others. If you leave in any of these permission deals, if you just leave it blank, it's available to anybody that anybody that can see that route that asset sits on can see that asset. So anyway, to describe how these are used, I can really quickly show you a perfect example. Go back to blocks, and we'll just look at the small header. It's type of HTML. It's got a simple little HTML editor here, and you can pour in your content. You have available at the block, layout, and page level this design elements UI, where you can, I've discussed this on the page video, but you can, basically add any of this content that's pre-built, right? And then once these are in here, you can further edit them and refine them, etc., to your purposes. There's a special context for images where if you keyword an image as page content under image assets, it shows up here, and you can actually choose it, for insertion. I'm trying to get this thing also working at the page level, and so far I've been unsuccessful in doing so, but because of the nature of pages, that you can carve a page up into many different HTML zones, it's very hard to get the ID callbacks and all that sort of thing sorted out, and that's a subject for a different day, and hopefully some other developer will pick this up and fix that. Again, so here's your basic block. To insert a block in a page, we're in a layout. Let's just go to pages. And we'll go to, well, actually, let's go to layouts because they're a little bit easier to describe. We'll go to your basic layout. Okay, if you go up to layout HTML, it just has these tokens, which are simple words wrapped in curly braces in each of these HTML zones. Now note, it says here main menu. Here it says main menu. So when I added this block, right, I gave it a token here. It said add, it added it, and it knows to go find that token in the page content and replace it with the contents of this block by its asset ID. It goes to the database, finds that block, reads the content out of it. It knows if it's a menu, what to do. If it's a page list, it takes the block type code and builds the content and streams it into the page. There's a known bug here. When you add blocks, editable state of status and tokens is broken. Save and reopen to edit those items anyway. That's a known bug, and I've put a little note here about that. But so there we have it. I mean, blocks are simple. They're simple to implement and simple to conceptualize how to get them into pages. And you can share them among pages. Blocks can live anywhere. You can have the same block at the top of a long page and at the bottom of a long page if you want to just make sure somebody sees it. And blocks, again, are important. They can contain almost anything. So, for instance, even very complex constructs like some sort of marketing funnel or lead generation funnel. Steps can be included in blocks and then spread out across a set of pages that are part of that funnel. So building marketing funnels with this system should be really easy. Building lead generation systems with this back end should be fairly easy and straightforward. And that's about what we have for blocks. I can't really think about anything else to say about them. Okay, so we're done.